It's Super Bowl Sunday, but we still had two NBA games with some potentially significant injuries cropping up. We'll talk about that. We'll recap the week. We'll look at industry pickup. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and do you know what a snag is? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Make sure you're giving this a thumb, making sure you're giving it a bell ring, a comment, a subscribe, double bang. Just let it play through on all platforms you can find. Really does help the show out a lot. Like I said, I'm recording this just before tip-off of this. I didn't say that. I'm saying it now. Just before tip-off of the Super Bowl. The games are done. You'll watch it whenever. I'm sure no one will watch the live premiere, but that's fine. We'll catch up with it later. Then the NBA is back tomorrow with 10 games on. Just only the two games today. And so it's only going to be, I'm guessing, a relatively brief show. But we did get some injury update news. Malcolm Brogdon with elbow tendonitis is out for at least 2 weeks. This is the master tank team. This is the master fake injury team. I'm not saying that, Shaedon Sharpe's not a fake injury. He's obviously had this groin and abdominal issue all season, but now he's undergoing surgery. He won't be back. Malcolm Brogdon out at least 2 weeks. That's going to extend, and it's going to extend, and I think it's going to extend. I would not be shocked if he's out for the season. I don't know that. They set the groundwork early this season with some knee issues for both DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant. They will be done at some point this season. Anthony Simons was dealing with an ankle problem at the moment. He will play after the break, but he will be done at some point late March, I'm guessing. Same with Grant and Ayton. Scoot, I don't think will actually play to the end of the season. He'll play. He'll get opportunities to play the week, 2 weeks with everyone out, and then they'll sit him down as well. That's what this team does. That's what they've done for 3 years. So this Brogdon injury seems to have come a little bit out of nowhere. And we know, when you're playing 40 minutes into a guy that you should have traded away in place of your number 3 overall lottery pick for a man that always gets hurt and had that elbow injury, which nixed a trade already early this season to the Clippers when he was on Boston, not a great sign. I don't know that I would necessarily drop Brogdon, but I know that if I'm in tight spaces and I've got a lot of other IL spots filled up, my confidence in Brogdon doing a lot from here on out is very, very low, factoring all that stuff in. His age, his injury history, this team's history, the time frame given, all that stuff is not a particularly positive thing. I'll mention this here because Bismack Biyombo has signed in Oklahoma City. Now, he won't be available to play for the team until after the break. For those of you with deeper leagues, if you're looking to streaming guys for blocks and field goals and in those deeper formats, Biyombo will have a little bit of value there for you. We got the update that DeAnthony Melton and Nick Batum are out for the Sixers. We didn't know that earlier today. We also got the update that Tari next season and Cam Whitmore remain out for the Rockets. I don't think either of those guys will play before the All-Star break. I don't think either of them need to be on a 12-team league roster at this point because, they're just not healthy and they just don't seem to get healthy, all that sort of stuff. Is a problem, obviously. All right, we've got 2 games. Let's go and talk about those 2 games. As Obi tries to get out of the studio, I'll go let him out. All right, so the first game, Boston and Miami. There was a little bit of stuff going on in this one. We did have one thing happen before the game, change of the starting lineup. Jimmy Butler was out due to a death in his family. So again, we hope everything is okay with Jimmy. I would expect that he misses a little bit more time here as well. Jaime Jaquez moved into that starting lineup, and then we had more stuff go down during the game. As for the actual result, Boston wins it 110-106. A lot of the same stuff from Boston. Strong game from Tatum, 26, 10, and 9. Tatum obviously has had some struggles this season, but he's now 6th over the last 2 weeks, and he's up to 18th for the year. So he is pushing higher, which is great. The free throws look to be somewhat sorted. Drew Holiday, 15, 3, and 6. He's been very up and down, but a top 50 run over the last 2 weeks. Great shooting from him. And Porzingis had a trip to the locker room, but he returned. 25 and 9, 2 blocks and 2 threes is great. Just an awesome game there. Jaylen Brown was fine. Derek White was, not. 6 points, 33% for Derek with 4 assists and a block. After that insane run to begin the season where White was top 20, and I could not believe it, he is now 46th for the season and 87th over the last 2 weeks. And I had him around 80th, 85th around, I'd say, around that mark in the preseason. And he obviously blew me away. And now we are seeing the sort of Derek White that is still very good, but was never, I don't think, going to be anywhere near that level of fantasy player. Not much else going on here. Al Horford had 3 blocks, but realistically, on days when their starting lineup is healthy, you can't really consider him a 12-team league guy. Now, they are continually resting guys, Drew's elbow and White's whatever, and Tatum's whatever, and Brown's back and whatever. There's always one guy, Porzingis' leg. It's always something happening, which gives Horford that little bit of a bump, but he's more of a stream guy, I think, than a must-roster player. Still no Tillman or Springer, but interestingly, Luke Cornett played only 2 minutes in this game. So I'd say Tillman's going to come in there, but not even necessarily going to play every game. Now onto the Heat. Jimmy Butler was out, so Jaime Jaquez started. To say that he was bad is an understatement. He had 6 points on 33% in 29 minutes with 3 rebounds and 1 assist. So much of what he did earlier in this season, there's 2 reasons. It was a big minutes bump and insane shooting efficiency, which I doubted all of it. Now, he's got an opportunity for minutes to go up, but this is bad. This is really low usage, no efficiency. He's 306th over the last 2 weeks. He still somehow is rostered in 54% of 12-team leagues, Jaquez, which is ridiculous, except, I don't know if Butler's going to play, and then Josh Richardson left this game with a shoulder injury, which looked pretty bad, and Terry Rozier left this game with a knee injury, which looked pretty bad as well. Now, Jaquez really only seems to get the bump when it's a 3 that is out, and Rozier and Richardson are playing the 1 a lot. So I'm not certain how much their absences, Rozier and Josh Richardson, are going to bump Jaquez into a must-roster status. For now, I would be considering adding Jaime because Jimmy is out. That really does boost him. But even today, you saw it. Nothing. A nonsense game. And I don't... Yeah, look, the pull towards Jaquez is, for whatever reason, people love him. The pull to him is strong because of how good he was to begin the season, but I think there might be better options out there. Bam, 22 and 13, 2 steals and 2 blocks on horrid shooting. Tyler Hero had been struggling a bit, but it's good to get a big one from him. Giggity, 24, 5 and 4. And Caleb Martin played 36 minutes. That's really interesting. 15 and 8 with 3 threes. It's the 36 minutes that interests me. He's playing the 4, obviously, but Jimmy Butler out helps him, and then those other absences, they don't help him as much, but that's prioritization of Martin over Jaquez. So that's something to watch. I would be okay adding Caleb in a 12-team league without thinking that he maintains 12-team must-roster status. The guy I would be more interested in 12s, now he thrived early this season when Tyler Hero was out. That's Duncan Robinson. 15 points, 3 threes, 33 minutes. Now, when Hero returned, we saw Robinson get cut way back, but that was when they had Kyle Lowry. And now they don't have Lowry, and they might not have Rozier for a period of time. So Hero has to be their point guard because they have no others. And the other guy that you could consider might be their point guard would be Josh Richardson, and he's hurt. So I think Robinson might be the ad over Jaquez and over Martin, honestly. Hayward Highsmith returned. He had 2 steals in 23 minutes. He'll get a role here with these guys potentially or likely out, but we don't know. Terry Rozier took a million shots. He had 16 shots before he got hurt, 13, 4, and 6. But yeah, look, that was not a great-looking injury. They ruled him out pretty quickly. He wasn't able to take the free... Well, they ruled him out. He wasn't able to return anyway because he didn't take the free throws. So hopefully it's all right. And then Richardson had 2 points in 7 minutes. But I would have to think there is a significant risk of those guys missing at least this week and the week after. The positive sign from a fantasy perspective is the Heat only play 3 games over the next 2 weeks. So a lot of you will be shouting this, Josh, why would I add Jaquez or Caleb Martin or Duncan Robinson if they've got a 3-game matchup? Which is true. They've got a 3-game matchup. A lot of teams have 5 or 4. The Warriors have 6. But if you go back and watch the Week 17 preview show I did yesterday, the Heat have 1 quality game. And you go, well, who cares? Right? 14 teams have 0. The Warriors play 6 games, 1 quality game. So nearly everyone has either 0 or 1. There's the Wolves who have 3. There's a couple of teams, about 5 teams who have 2. And everyone else has either got 1 or 0. So while 3 games is not ideal, if you're looking to get some value in and stream some options in, a Huckers, a Martin, those players, like versus like, hey, if I'm adding Gary Payton or Dario Saric, or honestly, even Klay Thompson, like how often will I start Klay Thompson even with 6 games on? Is that worth it? Will I start him on all those high volume days? Probably not. So just consider that 3 games is not always 3 games. Cryptic Josh. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That is why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals that you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of people find a qualified candidate within 24 hours when they post on LinkedIn Jobs. So put your job for free or post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That is linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, so that's that one. That was a lot of interesting things going on in that game because of those injuries in Miami and the potential absences opening up. And we'll see. Well, hopefully we get some information on those injuries to Rozier and Richardson tomorrow and get some clarity on where all that sits. The second game of the day was the Sacramento Kings. They got pumped by the Thunder, 127-113. Sabonis was at it again, 42 minutes. It's a lot, man. 21, 10, and 14. He's just doing what he does, top 5 over the last 2 weeks. Probably a little bit of a sell high, but he's sort of settling in now as that guy that we considered a lot as a player to take at the turn at the beginning of the second round. He's 13th for the season, 7th in points league, so he's playing really well. And he was always a first-round points league guy, and he's living up to it. De'Aaron Fox isn't, though. Like, he stinks at the moment. 15 points? You go, 15 points, Josh, that doesn't stink. Well, yeah, it sort of does. 1 rebound, 5 assists, no steals. 35% on high volume, 1 of 3 from the line, 97th over the last 2 weeks. He's down to 48th for the season. There were some people incredulous that he wasn't being drafted in the 20s in fantasy leagues, or even sometimes in the 30s. He had a long way to fall from last season, and I banged on about this, but this is a crazy drop. He is injured. He is dealing with a shoulder problem, and I'm hoping that the All-Star break eases some of that off for him, and we're able to get re-energize Fox after that. So I would consider this a big buy low. I wouldn't give a top 50 player for him, though. No way would I do that. But I would do it as a buy low if that's possible. 17 minutes for Fanapants, 4 points, 29% shooting. Yeah, we've seen this before.
Get that garbage out of here!
He sucks. He has hot streaks and then he sucks. And the same goes for the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! Now, 14 points for Barnes is fine, but he played 21 minutes. Like, I'm not dealing with that. We had Trey Lyles play 24 minutes as well. He had 1 point. That's just a deeper league stream thing. While Keegan Murray, nice double-double. 13, 10, 2 blocks. We love that. We got more minutes from Davion Mitchell because Herter sucked. 14 points with 4 triples. Cool. Don't think I need to care about that too much. He is the 391st ranked player per game this season, which is obviously unrosterable anywhere, but that was good. And Malik Monk's on the hot streak. This happens. Monk gets hot, Herter gets cold, and they switch. And Monk's just a must-roster player. 26, 4, and 5 with 6 dribbles, took 20 shots. They lost, but took 20 shots. We also got Keon Ellis back in the rotation. He played 17 minutes for 5 points. For the Thunder, the Bronco, Jalen Williams, who had been struggling a little bit, was dominant. 32, 9, and 9 on 68%. Even including this game, not top 100 over the last 2 weeks. But we see that he has wild swings in efficiency. And this was a big one. No defensive stats, but big field goals. And my mate, how about old Dort? We talked about how it's always a difficult thing to stream him. You never know what's going to happen. Well, you got good Dort here. 17 and 9, 3 steals, 3 threes, and a block on 56%. That brings him to 207th over the last 2 weeks. And he sucks. He just does. He will have 2 points in the next game, most likely. I tell you who else you can jack.
Get that garbage out of here!
Josh Giddey. 5, 5, and 4 in 20 minutes. They bench him continually. They're going to have Gordon Hayward there, who is going to eat his minutes, I think, almost, not completely, I don't think Hayward's going to start, but there is no way that Giddey's playing 29 tonight. Not happening. Move on. Drop him. Shea had 38, 3 and 7, which is great. 1 steal, 2 blocks. Awesome. 57 from the field. Unbelievable and high volume. And then he decided to, on the final day of your matchup, say, yeah, I'm going to lose your free throws for you. 5 of 9. Bro, what are you doing? He's like a 90% guy on high volume and he just decides he's going to go 5 of 9. That would have lost. And if this is you, interaction farming, algorithm manipulation, did Shea Gilgeous-Alexander lose you the free throw percentage category today? There's got to be one person out there that happened to. Has to be, that's watching this show, that you had Shea and you lost free throws because you did that. Chet, 14 and 4, 2 steals, 4 blocks. After a nice little dip, well, not nice, it was actually bad, a dip in the middle of the year. He's pushing back up at the moment. And not much else going on here. Isaiah Joe had 3 points, sick. Pig Williams had 5 points. Aaron Wiggins had 5 points. And they're going to add Hayward and then Biyombo into this mix as well. They were still able to go pretty deep as they continue to do. Be interesting, only 10 minutes from Kaysan Wallace. But they ran a, 6-man bench, 11-man rotation, which always makes it frustrating from a fantasy point of view. But they did it. They get the win very comfortably. And yeah, they've only got, I think they've only got one game before the All-Star break left now. I believe that's true. Don't take that for granted. I'm pretty sure that's true though. Today's episode is also brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little bit further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class-exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Don't worry about connecting your phone, that's done. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. And they've also got the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, which has room for up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capability. With 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds of towing, when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. So take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada, and go and find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. So they're the games. The 2 games are done. We don't have a stream of the day to recap, so we can just get straight in here and bang out the monstrous line of the night. And today, the monstrous line of the night is also the young gun of the night because, you know who it is. It is the Bronco, Jalen Williams, who had his 32 points with 9 rebounds and 9 assists on 60+% shooting. Huge game from Jalen Williams. Your waiver wire line of the night? Well, it's his teammate. You know I love doing this. It does go to the big fella, Midwest Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, who had 17 points with 9 rebounds and 3 steals. But what about the dud of the night, I hear you asking? Well, again, you might say, really? Like this guy was the dud of the night? Like, yeah, he was. I know he scored 15 points, but I don't care. De'Aaron Fox shot 35% from the field on volume and went 1 of 3 from the line. No defensive stats and 1 rebound. Another horrid performance in what is a really stinking run from him at the moment. Let's have a look at the top 6 players across the day. Again, not many games on, but we'll still go through those. The 9-cat guys, it was number 1, Jalen Williams, followed by Luguentz Dort. Then it was Bam Adebayo, Jason Tatum, Domantas Sabonis, and Chesterfield Holmgren. If we look at your top 6 players rostered under 50% of leagues, Lou Dort, always a streamer, never a stream bride or whatever the phrase is. You don't need to roster him. Davion Mitchell, cool, don't care. Caleb Barton, I'm interested in. Harrison Barnes, leave it for 14 teams. Duncan Robinson, yes, him and Caleb, interesting ads. And Isaiah, that's how bad we are. Isaiah Joe scored 3 points and he was one of the top 6 under 50% rostered players. And then your top 6 points league players. Number 1 was Shea, followed by Tatum, Jalen Williams, Bam Adebayo, Domantas Sabonis, and Kristaps Porzingis. What do we need to look at now? Let's do a bit of a brief takeaway. It's, again, not a huge amount with only the 2 games on. I would be looking at the 3 Heat guys, Huckers, Duncan Robinson, and Martin as ads. I'd probably go to Robinson and Martin over Huckers, but I could see it go either way. And I think that Josh Giddey is a pretty clear 12-team drop. I think Kevin Huerter is also a pretty clear 12-team drop. But again, that depends on how your team looks and where your stats sit and all of those different things that we pay attention to see whether it makes sense. But I don't think that they necessarily have to be on rosters. And again, especially for Giddey, once you get Gordon Hayward arriving, it's not going to be particularly fun, would be my guess. All right, that is all of that action done. across the NBA. So now it's time for an update on, as I just make sure my screen is centered, industry pickup. How did the results go? Go through all of my leagues. I know that I won industry pickup this week, so I did check the scores before I was posting this up. So I was against Alex Raclean, and I beat him 6-3. Another win for me. Mitch Casey loses to Mike Catron 6-3. B-Dub beats Drew Dinkmeyer. Hey, congratulations to Drew as well, who was getting married this weekend. But you know what? You can't have everything good, Drew, because you lost 5-4 to B-Dub. Kingy loses to Noel Rubin 5-4. Rhett Bauer smashes Barutha 8-1. And Dan Titus gets the win over Mike Barner 5-4. Let's look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category. Actually, we don't look. I might show you the Rotisserie League, which is, I'm not going to do that every week, but I've got the Roto League where we added in effective field goal percentage and removed field goal percentage as one of the categories, just to see how that will go. So we'll do that when we're looking at standings in a sec. But let's look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category league. I don't know how I win in these ones. So let's have a look here. All right, so I was against Bowler Swallowers and won 5-4. I was against Uborns 2 and won 6-3. That is a W. And in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category league, points league, how do my matchups go there? I beat Giggity, W, and I beat DBI, W. Oh, this is like a huge clean sweep of wins on my Fantrax league. So we'll check the other ones out later. They weren't as good. Let's go and have a look at where the standings sit now in industry pickup. Ooh, Rhett Bowers jumped up to number 2. I'm 12 games ahead. Rhett and Drew are equal second. Then it's Mitch in 4th. Mike Catron 5th. B-Dub 6th. Well, B-Dub's jumped up. Noel Rubin 7th. King is in 8th. Mike Barner is 9th. Raclean is 10th. Dan Titus is 11th. And Alex Barutha is down in 12th. Let's look at the Roto standings in this league. I am currently 6th in this Roto league, but as you will notice, I have played 526 games, which is the fewest amount of anybody except for the 10th and 12th team. And I am 124 games behind first place. I'm coming for these guys. Now, Roto points, I'm a fair bit behind. I'm 10 points behind. I'm 27 points behind. That's a lot of points. I'm 27 points behind the guy in first. But I got a lot of games to catch up, man. And I am going to come for them. Let's look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category league standings. We're in the main Red Claws division. I think I'm going to be second here. I'm pretty sure I've been second for a while. Let's double check that if it eventually loads up. Sometime. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Behind Rap, I am 18 games behind, and then I'm 12 and a half ahead of third. So I'm very, very comfortably going to be in the playoffs in that league. And then in the the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl points division, I'm in the Jason Kidd division, and I've always got this guy who's on top here of everyone. He's in mind, and I'm second in that as well. I'm 8 games behind Luca Me. I'm the captain now, and I am 2 games ahead of Pound the Rock with a 22-10 record. But it's not so rosy if we go to my Yahoo League. I was up against Karan, who has been on this show before, works at FBI. He beat me 6-3. He was 10th, I was 3rd. That is a stinking performance. So, who overtakes me? Let's have a look. Does Scott Howard? Yeah, the 5th team is going to jump ahead of me. The 4th team is not W. So Ed Monix. So Scott Howard moves up to 3rd. I move down to 4th. What about Joel? He got 7. Yeah, Joel's going to move ahead. So I'm going to move down to 5th. That's a costly loss for me. Yeah, so I'm going to move down to 5th. Al. And then on 30 deep, yeah, my team's trash. So let's see. Brewski beat me 8-1. Wow. And CBS Scott, which I think is Scott White, he beat me 5-4. Yeah, 5-4 in 30 deep. I am not going to make the playoffs in this one, I don't think. Let's have a look. What's the overall standings in 30 deep? Although now that I said I've got Jimmy Butler back, who knows when he's back now. Where am I in this? Yeah, right down the bottom. Yeah, there's no chance for me. I am cooked. I'm well above this guy, Daniel Dobish, who's 72 games behind, but I am 39 games behind there. All right, and that is the weekly check-in on how my leagues went for the week. Some success, some losses. Overall, all my Fantrax ones are going pretty well, and I'm happy with that. All right, don't forget, thumb it up, double bang, subscribe, notification bell, you know the way that you can help me out, and enjoy the Super Bowl. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.